When you're building garden structures like pergolas and arbors, one of the key decisions is selecting the right kind of footing. There are several options, and I've used all of them at one time or other, but I now have settled on the best one. In this video, I'll review 3 popular options and give you the pros and cons of each one. Then I'll reveal the one that I like the best. At the end of the video, I'll also show you some of the pergolas and arbors that I have in my 6-acre garden. There are 3 main options for footings. The one on the left is the post inserted directly in a concrete pillar. The middle one also uses a concrete pillar, but makes use of a metal anchor to hold the post above ground. The last one inserts the post directly into the ground. The post in the concrete pillar has historically been the most popular choice. It is still used a lot, especially for fence posts, because it's very simple to make. Dig a hole, pour in some concrete, insert the post, and wait until the concrete hardens. If you use the quick-dry concrete, you can have a hardened post in about 40 minutes. Using sonotubes will reduce the amount of concrete you need and make a nicer looking pillar. Using this option does result in a very sturdy post that is more stable than using an anchor in the concrete. But there are 2 problems with this option. The first is that unless you do this a lot, it is not easy to get the post exactly where you want. They end up an inch or 2 to the right or left, or the post is not perfectly vertical. Once the concrete sets, you can't change its location. The second problem is that concrete does not protect the wood from rot. As the wood dries, it shrinks away from the concrete, leaving a small gap. This gap fills with water and stays permanently wet. Long-term studies have shown that wood posts in concrete don't last any longer than the ones directly in contact with soil. This was the option I used many years ago before metal anchors became readily available, but I would not use it today. The second option is a concrete pillar with a metal anchor. The concrete gives you a very sturdy support, and the anchor keeps the wood away from wet soil, reducing the chance of rot. This type of footing should last a very long time. You can see in the picture that the metal eventually rusts, so you either have to accept this or plan to paint it once in a while. This option suffers from the same problem as the last one. It is difficult for weekend warriors to get the anchor in the perfect spot. You have to get all 3 dimensions perfect. You can create a type of foundation jig out of wood and add it temporarily while the concrete is setting. This forces the post to be in the right spot. Then remove the jig before building the structure. What I don't like about this option is that the final structure is not very solid. I found that the metal anchors are too flexible, and they allow the whole thing to wobble. You can overcome this with diagonal bracing on the arbor or pergola, but you don't always want that. If you do go this route, buy the strongest anchors you can find. I have used this option on several of my current structures, and except for the wobble, they work quite well. The third option is the one I use now. I simply insert the post directly in the soil. With today's pressure-treated wood, this should last 20 years, and it will last as long as the wood in concrete option. What I really like about this option is that anyone can build a very straight, square structure. The one downside of this option is that it takes more wood. If you want a structure that is 7 feet tall above ground, you need to use 10-foot posts and insert 3 feet underground. In my Zone 5 garden, our safe frost line is 4 feet, and I find posts that go down 3 feet don't move from frost heave. With global warming, we have not had a 4-foot frost for quite some time. The option might cost you a bit more on wood, but you don't have to buy concrete or the metal anchors. I plan to create a separate video showing you how to make a simple pergola, and in it I will describe my method in detail, but here's a quick summary. Dig the holes to the right depth. Insert the posts in the hole and brace them at approximately the right location. Then build the structure. As you build it, you can move the posts a bit to make sure that everything is plumb and square. Once the structure is mostly built, you will find that the posts don't move very much anymore, and they're in the right location. At that point, start filling the holes, a few inches of soil at a time. Check to make sure the posts are vertical, and tamp down the soil with a 2x4 piece of wood. Keep adding more soil until the hole is full. This produces a perfectly plumb structure with real solid posts. One of the first times I used this option was to create this 2-post structure. It has never moved, even though a 2-post structure is notoriously unstable. I just finished making this simple arbor the same way. I will be creating a video to show you how to build this one. I also used this method to create this 40-foot pergola. In this case, I got 4 posts in place, added the main top beams, squared all 4 posts, and partially filled the front 2 holes. Then I added 2 more posts, and got them squared up, and started filling more holes. Then I added another 2 posts, and so on. It would have been much easier to have some help, but I built the whole thing by myself, using some side bracing and temporary spacers to ensure that everything was square. It is the most solid structure I've ever built, thanks to the posts being right in the ground.